Hi everybody, and welcome to Robin's house. Today I want to show you a cool technique that I found, and it is about this little card. So this looks like it's a black and white card because black and white is awesome. But when you take this little pull tab guy and pull it up, you could find a little colorful guy in there who looks so nice against everything else that is black and white. So I want to show you how to do that. So the first thing that you do is you figure out the paper that you want to use as your background. And I chose to use black and white so it would emphasize that colorness, but you could choose any background that you wanted. And then I went ahead and I had some of that foam tape left over from our creativity and motion stuff, and so I figured I would use that. And so you make yourself a little frame there and put it aside. And then you cut a paper that's exactly the same width as your frame. And then you're going to take on the inside, you'll stamp the image that you want to use. And then you can go ahead and color it because you'll basically be done by then. And then I did put some of the foam tape at the top of this so I could create a stopper at the end, and I'll go over that. But for now, that piece is finished. So the next thing that we need to do, if I didn't already say it, you use this as where to stamp your guy. And now we can put together the box. So I cut myself a piece of acetate. Now this is the same acetate that I use in shaker cards. Once you run out of the acetate they have, just plain old ordinary acetate or overhead projection slides. So I cut that to the size so it fits in here. And I made mine go all the way to the top so that when I created a stopper on this one, so it's not important that it goes all the way to the top, but I did. If I hadn't made that one go all the way to the top, if your acetate goes to the top, it would be good so that it doesn't hit as you pull out the tab. It would be hard to put it back in if you pull it all the way out if you don't have that stopper. Okay, so I put my acetate down. Okay. Then the next step, while we're waiting for that to dry for a few minutes, is making our pull tab. So on the back side of my pull tab, I created another thing so that when I pull it out, it will hit that and won't go anywhere. But you also need to make sure that it fits in your space. So you'll want to cut it so that it fits in your space. It can be too tall because too tall is easy to fix. Too short is a lot less easy to fix. So mine is too tall, and I can put a mark of where I want to cut. So you can either cut on your own or you can cut with the big shot. So I'm cutting with the big shot, and I'm using one of those tabs to create a tab. You could easily cut your own tab if you wanted to. I'm just doing this real quick while I'm waiting for my acetate to dry just a little bit so that I can move it around. Okay, so while I'm waiting for that to continue drying, I'm going to take I want to decorate my tab, so you can see that it's decorated here with some little stars. So there's a couple things you can do. You can snip your stamp set and just snip it so you have a perfect amount of stars that you're wishing for, you can take it to the edge of your block and fold it over, and now you can have the same number of stars that you want. Or you could just carefully ink it only where you want to ink it using the side of your ink pad. So there we have our pull tab ready to go. And now this has dried enough where I can take my project. And now comes the medium tricky part, in that I need to use StazOn ink because I'm going to be stamping on acetate, and my other ink is not going to work. So I take my same guy, I line up my project so that it's one right on top of the other. So what I have is the image that I stamped and already colored, and then I can put this down in the exact same place because I'm going to stamp right over the top of this other one. Now it would be easier for you to stamp if you didn't color it first, but I thought it would be funner if you didn't have to wait for me to color. So you'll set it down and line it up as close as you can. Ooh, I did a good job. So before, on the last one that I tried, I did not do a good job, and I could see a distinctive shift. Say for pretend it was like this, and I was like, oh dear, that is not good at all. So what I did was I took my StazOn cleaner and I put it directly on my acetate, and I could visibly see that StazOn coming off. And then I took my towel and I wiped off the StazOn cleaner residue, and it was a perfectly clean slate, and I was able to try again. And then the second time it worked much better, and my spider is a little bit off, but it's just enough that it could be a creepy spider. So and also, if you are a little too wild with your cleaning up, it got some gray marks on my card, so I just put some gray marks around all the edges, and therefore it looked like it was supposed to. Okay, so now we're done with the StazOn ink. We're happy with the first time around. So now we can just we'll pretend, I suppose, just to make sure, we'll pretend. So we'll pretend that this is all glued together, and we'll make sure that it's what we want. So this stops in the right place, it pulls up, and it brings the color with it. It's perfect. So I'm going to glue it together. So these ones, this top and this bottom, there's no need to take off the foam tape, the adhesive part. It's just staying there to be a bumper of sorts. And then we'll line this up so it's perfect. And then we'll line this up so we know it slides. You know what? It moved. So, you know, I'm going to do that trick then, just so you can see how easy it is. And I'm going to try one more time to stamp with my StazOn. So here's my StazOn ink remover and my little towel. I will try to be more careful this time with my cleaning up. In that area wasn't careful at all. So now I'll add a little bit of gray to my edges. Clean that up, and we'll give that just one more try. And again, it will be so easy, so much easier to stamp this if you have not colored your image in. Or in fact, if you assemble your box before you do your stamping, because I believe what happened was I stamped mine down, and then when I assembled it, I let it get off just a little bit. And you can see that this one turned out much better. And actually, I think my image stamped better. Yeah, this one's a lot cleaner image too, so it worked out all over the place. Okay, so once you have, now I have my functioning box. I can pull it up, reveal his color, stops, so I don't have to worry about any missing edges. So that is perfectly perfect. And I can now assemble my card. Just add this little box that's already put together. Put it down on the card. And I had some I have my Hocus Pocus. So what I'm going to do is because I'm creating these one on top of another, I'm going to also do them one on top of another. And I'm going to create a dovetail. So I'm going to cut them right up the center. I'm going to go from each corner into that middle that I added. And there we go, very similar design. And then I'm going to glue on the bottom portion of this because I'm going to create I want them to be uneven. I need to leave enough room for my little cat. So here is my cat, so cute. Perfect little black cat. Perfect little black bat. So there we go. And I just thought this was the funnest technique to create a secret pocket of color. So I hope you enjoy trying that out. Thank you so much for watching. Have a crafty day.